Hello, class. This is Dr. Flores. How are you doing? I'm going to go through some information for you so that you are prepared for our class. I know that anytime we have a class of this type, or any class for that reason, that there's always an issue of what exactly is expected of me, what do I have to do, and so I'm going to give you as much guidance as possible. I am traveling today, so I am in India, so I am out and about, and so you might hear some background noise here. Kind of hard to control sometimes with the with when you're in a different part of the world. But anyway, so just to give you a little bit of background on me, I work on a global landscape. So I have an IT company where we do work from India, and we have clients that we service back in the United States. So we stay very busy with that. I'm here probably 3 or 4 times a year, and I also spend quite a bit of time in the Philippines where we do some other work to promote the effort. So it's a big part of what I do. It's good work, but nonetheless, it does take getting on the road and getting on connections, changing flights, and all that kind of stuff. I know some of you can relate to that. You probably do it yourself. So just want to share with you my background. Also working for Shell Oil Company. I sort of started in finance. From there, I went to work at a medical clinic where I managed a medical clinic in Houston for several years. I worked at Prudential. Also was the IT budget coordinator for USAA. And since 2000, I've run an IT company and have pretty much worked on my own. My background is also in project management. I teach quite a few project management courses. In the corporate world, I have those PMP certifications, like the PMI certifications, like the project management professional, and also the risk management professional, and some of the others. So I'll talk to you more about that as we go along. I have been talking quite a bit, so my voice might be a little bit tired, but I think we'll be okay for our session. Now, I am going to address some of the frequently asked questions, but I know that that's not always going to answer every single thing that you have. So when you do have any other or when you have additional questions, make sure you reach out to me, and then I will make sure to get back with you as quickly as possible to get those addressed. Okay, so again, here's our class, and let's talk about your participation in discussion. And as you know, you're doing a good job with this, but the big requirement for our class is participation. You have to stay engaged. You have to post your messages. They have to be high quality messages. I was an online student for many years, so I kind of know where you're coming from. I understand sometimes you run out of time and whatever it might be, but the key thing is to plan. And I recommend starting early in the week. That's one of the key things is to start early in the week. Thank you, sir. I just got my Indian tea. So this is something that's very common here in India is a tea. As you know, India was a UK territory for quite a while. And so there's a huge British accent, British customs here. And so this is the part of that, and that is my tea. So cheers. Pretty good little tea. So anyway, so just want to talk more about the participation requirements and make sure you stay engaged. I kind of made it a habit when I was working on learning online is to start early in the week. Okay, if you start early in the week, you're going to reduce your stress. And if you start late in the week, it's in your mind, it's in your head there. You're thinking, goodness, I've got to participate. And then before you know it, that week comes to an end or that learning plan comes to an end. So the sooner you do it, the better. Um, if there is not a requirement stated by the learning plan, when there is not a requirement, then what I would like for you to do is to post on 3 different days during the learning plan. But those 3 days should not all be in the same week. So in other words, if you do that, then you're going to basically skip a week. So post on 3 different days during the learning plan, but not in the same week. You want to spread those around to 2 weeks. The other reason you would want to do that is just to stay engaged. I mean, if you did them all in one week, you could basically disappear for a week, and before you know it, time has run out. And not time has run out, but before you know it, you're just like not engaged in the class. So I just recommend that approach. The participation requirement, 4 feedback comments to earn the 100% of the participation points, 3 feedback comments to earn 90% of the participation points, and 2 to earn 80%. So you get your feedback in there, post them, be very specific, be courteous. You know, sometimes we have some folks who will say, not you guys, but I've seen it before where people are flaming or saying, hey, you know, that you don't know what you're talking about. That was a crazy comment. I know you guys aren't going to do that, but nonetheless, be aware that professionalism is very important. I have had no issues with that here, so I anticipate we're going to have a very good class. So let's go through the LP1 assignment. This is a key item. The section 1 should be a minimum of 2,000 to 2,500 words. So that's approximately 8 to 10 pages. Again, remember this should be double spaced. That's a professional academic document, and it does not include charts, graphs, or long quotations. Now, let's talk about the long quotations for a minute. You know, really, uh, we should not, at the graduate level, we really should not be using quotations at the undergraduate level either. If it's best if you paraphrase the information. So instead of writing what somebody else wrote, why don't you write it in your own words? No matter what it is. Now that's different unless you're maybe quoting law or you're writing or you want to quote a speech. Okay, I get that part. That's not very common in our world. But so I would recommend that you paraphrase the content. Paraphrase the content and you're going to be better off. 2,000 to 2,500 words, that's really not as much as it seems once you start looking at the content that you need to put together. The financial summary information may be included in the body of the paper, but detailed financial statements go into the appendix. So you can have some kind of summary data inside the paper, but the balance sheet and all the other income statements, cash flow statements, whatever it is, put those in the appendix. That's fine. You can reference them from the paper, but they do not go into the actual document because that by itself could be 8 to 10 pages right there. All right, you should use resources or sources to find information. Now, I'll get students who say, well, I didn't really need to find any sources. That wasn't important to my paper. Okay, that's not going to work, okay? It's not going to work. You are professional students. The expectation is that you're going to go and conduct some research. That is very important. It's required, it's recommended, it's necessary, because what we're doing is we're learning from what's already been published out there. Some students say, well, I'm not really interested in the academic part. I mean, this is a business. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I am a consultant, and I can tell you most of my clients, when I walk in, will say, can you tell me what else is going on in the market? Can you tell me who else is doing this? Can you benchmark? Can you use best practices? Can you use good practices? Or how do I know? How do you validate that that's the right way to go? Guys, I cannot go in there and just make up stuff. I mean, I can't say, well, it all came from my hand. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Because I need to leverage what's already in the market space, especially in the IT world that I work in. I have to make sure that I'm considering what else is going on in the market and include it. And not only that, but I would go in there and talk to my customer and I would say, this is where I found, this is the best, we call it environmental scanning, right? That's what you guys learned in your other classes. But we're doing an external analysis. You can even say it's part of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats because you're looking at the external, which are the opportunities and threats. So again, it is expected now. It is expected that you're going to use sources, and if you are going to use sources, whether you're using direct quotes or not direct quotes, you still will place them in the reference page. Again, I recommend against direct quotes. I think you should paraphrase the information. All right, continuing on here. This written assignment should include the following information about the company you selected. So we want to talk about the history of the firm. So go in and set the stage. Tell us about what you're going to talk about. So set the stage. What's the history? What's the background? You want to talk about the mission statement. Mission statement is very important because that's what drives the conversation, okay? Or that drives the company. Sometimes people say, well, what's the mission of the company? Well, the mission for a company explains the reason that it exists. It's the reason the company is there. So if you think about Google, you think search engine. Now, Google's a lot more now, but that's part of what Google is. If you think about Disney, now Disney, the company from Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise, theme parks, whatever it is, whatever Disney is, it's about making people happy. If you go back to Walt Disney started with Disneyland in California, and he said, "Well, I want to make a park. I want to make a park where people can get away from their problems." Now, Disneyland was the first step towards that, but then came Disney World. Now, Walt Disney died shortly before it became open, but his idea was to take you away from a place, from your everyday problems or issues. And he thought that if I can put people in a secluded area, which is what Disney World is, and you can pretty much forget that life has anything else going on. You're just focused only on having fun. That's the thing. So the mission statement, the vision statement, another key component here, the vision is the end state. Where are we going? What direction are we going? How are we going to get there? They say the leaders have the ability, the leaders have the ability to think into the future. And so you look at some of the great leaders that we have, especially in the IT world, going back to Steve Jobs. But regardless of the leader, they're able to see something that other people cannot see. Okay, so that's the vision statement. All right, the organizational structure. What kind of structure do you have? Is it functional or is it top down? Sometimes we say top down. That means that the leadership basically sends the communication down to you. That's called bureaucracy, bureaucratic. Not necessarily anything wrong with it. It's not the movement today, but that's the organizational structure. Sometimes we have what's called a matrix or a flat organization where we share information across departments, from IT to marketing to operations to finance to accounting. As I mentioned to you earlier, I have a project management background. The PMI, the Project Management Institute, has focused on sharing or on forming teams that are cross-functional. You want to get teams that represent the impacted functional areas, as I mentioned to you, marketing, finance, and so on. So again, make it specific to your organization. You want to share what is going on and how you can, how it affects your overall delivery or your plan. And so, provide enough information. You don't have to go crazy with it, but provide enough information that it sets the stage for us. More on the learning plan, marketing, the marketing report. So you want to identify first the main products or services. So if you've worked at any kind of company that produces business plans, you know that the business plan is part of the marketing report is part of the business plan, and it's going to tell us about the product or service. What do you offer? What is it that your organization is offering? What are the products and services? You want to analyze the marketing and marketing strategy of the company. So are you a low-cost provider? Are you a luxury kind of service? What is it that gives you your competitive advantage? I do some work with a company here in San Antonio called Rackspace. A company called Rackspace. They are an IT cloud-driven managed hosting company, and their push is called fanatical support. Fanatical support, that means that they want to distinguish themselves from the market by focusing on being fanatical about tech support, customer support, because they know that they have a homogenous product. Amazon and other companies offer the same kinds of products, but how can you differentiate yourself from the customer or from the competition? Well, you're going to do that by doing better support, maybe by having a lower price. Walmart is about low price, high volume. Rolex is about high price, low volume. So it really depends on where you want to come in, but it's important that you describe it, right? It's important that you talk about it. That you say, here, let me set the stage. You want to discuss the product mix and product strategies. So again, what is the product? How are you going to provide it to the customer? We can go back to the marketing mix, like place, product, promotion, and what am I missing? Price. in price. So, you want to talk about what is your strategy? And places really changed today because back when I started my first business in 1990, it was very customary to have a storefront. But today I'm operating from a small room in India. I'm in South India today, and this is where our office is. Nobody knows that. I have an office in San Antonio, Texas. None of my customers goes to my office. As far as my customers know today, I'm working out of the United States. We're providing world-class service to them, but they don't really know, and they really don't care. They really don't care how you do it. As long as they get the service that they need, they're going to be fine. Also discuss the sales methods employed to create revenue. So, as I noted a long time ago, excuse me, as I noted a long time ago, that helps my throat a little bit, so that's a good thing. It was very customary, and some of you might remember that you would get people come knock, salespeople that would come knock on your door. That was a very common thing. Today, that's not the way things are. Sales methods employed today are different. We sell through the web. In fact, as you read about UPS, UPS had problems with delivery over the Christmas holiday. And so the idea that UPS mentioned was that there was a capacity issue. They were not able to meet the capacity. It was that late rush. They were working with big retailers, like online retailers like Amazon, and the demand was so high that they couldn't meet it. So how do you create revenue? How do you distribute product? Here you can incorporate logistics, reverse logistics, supply chain. It's wide open. So you've got a lot of good stuff to include in your marketing proposal. Finance report includes a financial analysis of the organization. So talk about, what's the current financial standing. You may want to talk about the cash flow statement, the balance sheet, the income statement, stock price, whatever it is. You may want to share with us how the company is doing. Is it leveraged, well leveraged? Is it high debt? What is it? Is it part of a merger and acquisition? I don't know, but you've got quite a bit of freedom here to bring in a lot of content. For those of you who are MBAs, you will talk about the financial ratios, the comparison of financial performance over time. It's important to look, how is the company done over time and where is it going? We call that trend analysis. We call it forecasting. So that's all part of this evaluation. You want a comparison with other firms. You want to know where you stand. Where are you in the mix? Are you a leader? Are you a follower? How do you fit into the big picture? So, because we can learn from competition. So it's important to know that. Financial issues that have impacted the organization. So what are some of the financial issues that have impacted the organization? This goes to the leadership. What kind of decisions about mergers and acquisition, about selling off a division, about going global, about improving the marketing campaigns, about increasing their staff, their training and development. So whatever it is, how did it affect the financial aspect of it? For the MMs, the folks in the management side, we have financial ratios, overview of current financial position, financial health of the organization in comparison with other competitive firms. Some similarities, but some differences as well. Again, just focus on where you are and deliver something that's specific to your program. Okay, let's talk about an alert. Here's an alert. So I've taught this class quite a few times, and I've seen some interesting stuff. So make sure that using previous class information regarding company details. So some of you have written extensively before. It is not advisable. In fact, we would like for you to avoid reusing word for word what you've done before. It's going to show up on Turnitin. Okay, that's the one, number one. So my recommendation is just to recast it. So like I said earlier, I was a student for a long time. And I can tell you that oftentimes I had written about a lot of this stuff. I was working on on a paper and I go, hey, I've written about market segmentation. I've written about IT analysis or project management or whatever. So what I would do is I would go grab my sources and then I would just say, okay, how can I deliver it to meet the requirements for this paper? So for me, it's important for you to recast what you have in an original manner, even though it was your stuff now. It was your stuff before, but for this class, you want to use the same content, same resources, but in a different delivery approach. So avoid submitting a largely verbatim paper from a previous class. You don't want to do that because that is a problem. Has it happened before? Yes. And I'll follow up with the students and say, hey, listen, we need to rewrite this paper and make sure it is original. So you're also required to cite sources from where the information came from. And, that's always a cool thing is when you can find good information out there that you can share. I think it really sets you apart. So please do that. I know it takes more time, but this is a different class. And look and see how you can take something away from here. There are some classes that I remember from when I was at the university. I go, man, that really has helped me. So today when I'm working here in India, maybe some of my international business or financial analysis courses, project management, leadership courses, they all come to play because I go, I remember, the leadership styles of autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. Well, I use those, and I learned those in going through just the same programs that you guys are going through. Now, real life is different, but having that foundation is really important. So, again, put it in your own words, make sure it makes sense to you now, and make sure it's original. And original from the standpoint for our class. So the next steps for us is to confirm your understanding of this live session. Please do the following. So you would provide a one-page summary of the main takeaways. What did you learn? What can you take away from this session? And include any questions or comments that you have for me. And you can also include those through email, but you can put them in here and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible. And you will post it in a Dropbox. So of course, good luck with that aspect of it. And I just want you to really stay focused on the key takeaways. Make it simple. A one-pager is good enough. This is something new to all of us. We used to have those timed live sessions, and those were fun too. But this is a different time and a different approach. So let me just take a few minutes and talk to you about some of the recommendations that I have. Some of you already have a pretty clear career path, but some of the things that I recommend today that are very much in demand, very much in demand. See if I can grab a pen here. It includes something called project management. You guys saw that I talked about that earlier. Project management. So, and I'm not sure how that arrow got there. So, anyway, so project management is a certification from what's called the PMI, the Project Management Institute, the PMI. So some of you have maybe heard of it. PMI, the Project Management Institute. So it's one of those things. It's one of those certifications, credentials that really sets you apart. And if you haven't looked at that, I would take a look at it. It's a very rigorous process, but I teach these courses in the corporate environment at Rackspace, at City of San Antonio, General Dynamics, United States Air Force, and you can see I just described 4 different industries that are pursuing this kind of certification. So please, if you have time, take a look at the requirements. You can always reach out to me and I can help you, provide you some guidance. The other one is something that's pretty cool today. It's something called Certified Scrum Master. I don't know if you've heard of this one, Certified Scrum Master. So this is about breaking projects into small pieces, and it comes from the Agile methodology. So this is a nice certification. It doesn't take a lot of work, 2 days to go through some face-to-face training, and then you take a test, which is not that difficult. The PMI test is difficult. It's 200 questions, multiple choice, but then you also need to qualify for it. So that's why I mentioned to you, go to PMI and get some more information. Finally, the other one that those of you who have an IT slant about you is something called ITIL, Information Technology Infrastructure Library. Information Technology Infrastructure Library, sorry. And so that's why they call it ITIL, because those are so long. information technology, infrastructure library. And it's not that bad. It's a 3-day class. And then you take a test. Now, that's a 3-day class when it's face-to-face. I happen to do mine online, but however, whatever works for you. And so I would take a look at that and see what interests you. But these three, the combination of these three, I think it's the really powerful triangle. Because if you have an IT slant, then that helps. Even if you don't, and there's some people who are not big in IT who are taking that class. If you're working on projects, then the Agile and the PMP, those are some that I would recommend heavily to you because I think they're difference makers. They're ones that can really change the dynamics of the work that you're doing, and they can make you more effective. They make you more marketable. They're well known in the industry. Now there are others. I know some of you in human resources. So there's a SPHR, the Senior Professional Human Resources, and some of the others. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is the global landscape. So as I mentioned to you, I'm traveling and working overseas today. I definitely recommend that you become knowledgeable. I know some of you already are, but that you get the knowledge about how do you work on the global landscape. I think it's part of it's more of what's going on today. And if you read the book called "The World Is Flat" by Thomas Friedman, you'll know that that's the direction of what's happening today. You can hop on an airplane and 8 to 10 hours be in Europe, 4, 5, 6 hours be in South America, and you can be traveling and working with teams around the world. Now you don't always have to travel. You can definitely use like technology like we're doing right now, but become comfortable with this. What I'm doing right now, become comfortable with this delivery. Work on these kinds of skill sets. I'm always trying to improve it just because I do it quite often. And I just want to get better about how I deliver these messages to my team. If you have any questions about these kinds of activities, this kind of work, you can always reach out to me. I'll be as transparent as I can about how you can leverage and maximize your productivity. Nothing makes me feel better. Nothing makes me feel better than when my former students email me and say, hey, look, I took that advice and look, this is where I am. This is what I decided to do. I had a couple of students say, hey, I decided after I talked with you to pursue that doctorate. I thought that was going to be the right decision for me. And after speaking to you, I realized that it doesn't have to be used only in academia. Yeah, I can use it as a consultant. I can use it as a business expert, a subject matter expert. So you see, you don't have to always use a doctorate by say, oh, I have to be in research. You can use it in many different ways. Okay, so there's our presentation. It's not that long, but it's enough for you to get some traction because I know you had some questions. And it's not the end here. You can always reach out to me with more questions, with more comments. In the future, I will send you, or we will have a topic-specific discussions. For example, I have a section on change management that hopefully we'll be able to cover soon. I think you'll like it because change is omnipresent, right, as we say. It's something we are always trying to adjust and make and take advantage of new technology, new personnel, new ideas, and so on. So again, my name is Dr. Flores, and I look forward to seeing you in class and look forward to hearing from you when anything comes up. Okay, thank you so much. I look forward to also reading your paper. Bye for now.